welcome to the Chat and Chew show. My name is Roxanne, and there is no Betty today. So what are we gonna do? Well, I will let you know. We actually have a good special episode planned for you with some never before seen or heard footage. And before we get to that, I'll just do the spill that we're supposed to do, that Betty would normally do. And so the Chat and Chew show is designed to help you do relationships better. And one of the ways that we do that is we have a segment every now and then called Ask the Coach, where we have Coach Donecia join us and answer those sticky questions that Betty and I would like to stay away from because they're a little more difficult. And Coach Donecia is a real coach. She does this in real life for a profession. And she has given us some great advice on episode 4. If you haven't seen that yet, go back and take a look at episode 4. There were some great nuggets of wisdom and just like, oh, okay, I gotta do that, those kind of things. But today we're gonna get into some questions that you hadn't seen before. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. All right, and welcome back. As I mentioned, we're seeing some never before seen footage / heard. If you're listening to Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or anywhere else where you're listening, we're going to see and hear those questions that were left out of our Ask the Coach episode. Again, episode 4, go back and listen to it if you have not yet, because it was some good stuff. And we're going to see our first question from that episode that we did not see in that episode. All right, take a listen or look, and we'll see you back in a couple minutes. I told my friend a little white lie years ago that eventually led to conflict between her and someone else. Her relationship with that person is long gone now, but I feel guilty every time she brings them up when going down memory lane. Should I tell the truth now? If so, how do I bring it up?
Right. And so my question for that person is, it sounds like they're dealing with some guilt, because whatever this lie was, it ended up in a broken relationship for her friend on that side. And so that's where the guilt comes from. She's feeling bad about that because obviously the person who was connected to the other is still feeling some type of way. Like, I don't know how we even got to this point. I don't know why it is. So for the person who told the white lie, I would tell her that, if you feel haunted by your words or your actions, and you value this person as your friend, then again, you should be able to be mature enough to go to this person and say, hey, back in the day, I said X, Y, Z, and I feel horrible about it. It wasn't true, and it led to this, and I need to tell you, because, you often bring this person up. I can tell that you're grieved by it, maybe, and I hate that I was a part of that. I'm sorry. So you have to own your stuff, right? Wow. But just be prepared that in owning your stuff, it may sever a relationship. Yeah. Because when you lie, you break the tie.
Ooh. Wait a minute. Because when you lie, you break the tie. That is good.
We have these ties that bind us together.
Oh, wow.
We're bound together sometimes through a tragedy. We're bound together through a joyous moment. We're bound together through education. We're bound together by many different things. And so when you tell lies, you begin to sever that tie that brought you together in the first place. Because now trust has been broken.
Wow. That is huge.
That's good.
Wow. So confess then to your friend. Just go ahead and confess and be prepared.
Confession is good for the soul. It just don't always feel good when you do it. Because you have to take ownership of it.
Wow.
But I come from the place that if more people would confess and own their stuff, there'll be more healing, and we have more peace on the other side.
Yeah. Wow.
Because obviously it sounds to me like the person who told the lie, their friend is impacted by it. They're still haunted, if you will, by the experience of losing someone who may have been close to them.
Yeah.
But the person who told the lie is also haunted by what she did to her friend.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Wow. It's a mess.
A hot mess.
It's a hot mess.
Own your stuff.
Oh my gosh, that is so good.
This episode later. I just want y'all to know.
I know, this is good. This is a bring your pencil and take some notes. This is really good.
That was good. So when you lie, you break the tie. Oh my goodness. So it's funny because, sometimes I hear a question, right, when we're doing this Ask the Coach sessions, And I think to myself, oh, I'm not dealing with that right now. But what's crazy is that for some reason when she said when you lie, you break the tie, it like hit home for me. Like, I don't feel like I'm, harboring some deep, dark secret that'll break up a relationship or anything. But what I do feel like is sometimes I just don't say. I don't say I'm not happy with this. I don't say I don't agree with you. I don't say, no, I'm not going to that party. I just don't show up, or, like whatever it may be. But I am one of those people that omits rather than like say, like actively lie. And so the thing about that is, even though it's not something deep, or, something that is like super scandalous or anything, what I feel like when I reflected on this information that Coach Donecia gave to us was just like, there is some space that I cause when I don't tell the truth about what I'm happy with or what I agree with, what I want to do, what I don't want to do, and I just move on it. Because the person has the ability then to make up a story in their head of why I'm not joining in with them, of why I may be distancing myself from them, and whatever that made up story may be, it may be worse than just the truth of just like, oh, well, I don't like doing that, or I'm not interested in what you're interested in, or whatever, or I just don't agree with your point of view. And it's like, that lack of communication still breaks the tie a little bit. It may not break it, but it still strains it because there's some confusion that builds up there. And so it's like when Coach Donecia said that, I'm like, I'm like, but I don't lie, but I do, because it's like when you omit information, and I'm not talking about like oversharing, but I feel like when you omit information, it is kind of, you let the person believe a lie because now they have to make up the story of why you're doing what you're doing or why you move the way you move. So that was one that just kind of caught me off guard, and I'm like, I have to write that down now and kind of reinvestigate like my own relationships and how I operate within them, because I can't just take the easy route out all the time and just do what I want to do. And again, we're not talking about like over-explaining, oversharing, and always feeling like you have to give an explanation for stuff. We're just talking about simple, like sitting in front of someone and kind of just ignoring what would I say? Kind of just like passively disagreeing, and like, it's just, well, I'm not gonna argue, or I'm not gonna, like, you can just let a person know where you stand without it being a huge, gigantic argument, because then you give them an opportunity to accept you for who you really are and things like that. So that was where that kind of hit me, even though it wasn't a personal question the way it was specifically asked. So we're now going to take a quick break and go chew a little bit, and then we'll return back in a few minutes, all right?
Now, a delicious word. Let's chew.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Roxanne, and today we're going to be making a smoothie. And this is my favorite recipe that I kind of pulled together from a couple of different ones, because this smoothie works out well for me when I have it in the morning of a busy day. If I know I'm not going to be able to eat or think about food really throughout the day, this smoothie the ingredients in this help me stay satisfied and really feel like I'm not hungry for hours actually. So we're going to get started by pulling together these ingredients. I use 1 banana, 1 cup of chopped pineapple, a half a cup of chopped cucumbers, a handful of kale, a hearty teaspoon of chia seeds, and a hearty tablespoon of peanut butter, and about a cup of almond or cashew milk. And I usually use the vanilla unsweetened kind of this. And you can definitely use sweetened if you like. It tends to be a little too sweet for me when I add that with the fruit. The other optional ingredient that I add to this sometimes to take off the bite of the pineapple, or if I know I'm just like not feeling that taste of the kale just that day or whatever, it's just a touch of honey to kind of make the taste a little more mild and sweet. And so what I often do as well is freeze some of these ingredients to give me that instead of adding ice, I'll just freeze some of the ingredients, and that'll get me a thicker consistency as well with my smoothie. So I'll freeze often the banana, the chopped pineapples, and the chopped cucumbers. I'll chop all those things up and then throw them in the freezer and then pull them out as I go on throughout the week. So what we're going to do is just throw all those ingredients into the blender, and then I pulse it a few times and then blend for about a minute. And once you do that, you pretty much have your smoothie. I like to put it in one of those cold cups that keeps it, those insulated cups that keeps everything cold for you. And I take it on my way to work and sip it throughout the morning. And I'm telling you, I often do not want anything until late afternoon and sometimes until dinner. So give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if you like, you can also change any of the amount of the ingredients. If you like one thing more than the other, you can definitely play around with it. All right, so I'll see you next time. All right, welcome back. And that looked good, but I wonder who made it. I don't know. She's such a good cook. But anyway, it's so funny, you guys, because like I'm recording and it's like the world is going on outside. Like some guy's like zooming along in his car. There's like a car horn going off, and I don't know what's happening outside. But anyway, so thanks for coming back. Welcome back. We are, like I said, in the middle of the Ask the Coach Never Before Seen or Heard footage, and I have another question coming up for you that we had to leave out of our episode 4. So go ahead and take a look, and I'll see you back here.
Question for you. So my boss seems to only like people who stroke her ego, and it doesn't seem to matter how well they get or don't get the job done. So how do I win favor with my boss without kissing up to her?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's... Whew. Yep, I know many people like that. Okay, so the first thing,
she said,
first thing we need to recognize is that whether it's your workplace relationship or your personal intimate relationship, they still have a common thread, a common theme, right? So within the workplace, there are policies and standards and ethics that the employee works to support in their role, right? Or is affirmed or confirmed in the job. Mm-hmm. You know, there's some things that the employer is just not going to take. Mm-hmm. They have set their standards, they have set their policies in place. There's also within that the workplace culture, right? Mm-hmm. How people get along, how they interact, what foods you can bring to work to the public, which ones you can't. So you learn the culture. So my question for the person who's trying not to kiss up is, do you have a clear understanding of the standards and policies and ethics of the company and the workplace culture? Mm-hmm. Because if you do, then you should look to your supervisor, the one you're not trying to kiss up to, but you're trying to understand because you want to maintain a good working relationship and also be considered for other opportunities to see how if your supervisor upholds and supports those standards, policies, ethics, mm-hmm. right, mm-hmm. that impact the work culture. Mm-hmm. So find out from your supervisor as you observe her interactions with your superiors, right, what she or he values. Mm-hmm. Because when you understand what your supervisor values, do they value time? Like, even though, you do your 9 to 5, do you put in more time? Mm-hmm. Are they looking for that? Again, another element of time. How often do you call in or call off work? Mm-hmm. When there are projects that go beyond your scope, right, or expertise, how much time are you giving to invest in supporting the team? Mm-hmm. Are you a team player? Mm-hmm. Because these qualities are important in the workplace. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, I'm just gonna put me in my cubicle, give me my little 3 walls, mm-hmm. I can get my back to y'all, let me come and do my gig, punch in, punch out, I'm done, mm-hmm. right? So that says you're not a team player, you don't wanna be around, you ain't got time. Mm-hmm. But that could be important to your supervisor. Mm-hmm. So when you understand the dynamics of what your supervisor is looking for or needs from her team, then that will determine how she or he treats you on the job.
Wow.
All right, and welcome back. So what do they value? That's what I took. So from that question, I have had to deal with that before in the office where I just felt like what the person wanted was cheerleaders or fans and things like that. I've definitely had to deal with that before. But what I found interesting about the answer to this question from Coach Donecia, and was a great point, is finding out what they value. And then not only that, finding out what the bigger office culture is, like where you are, what does it say on paper, and then what really happens in the office culture. Like really be observant before you haul off and have a whole fit about what you should have, what should be happening. That's something that I really took away from this, because I think this happens in relationships in general, so not even just work, but a lot of times I think we put some emphasis on loving, I won't say loving relationships, but romantic relationships, friendships, where we're more willing to investigate, what's their love language, like do they like acts of service, do they like physical touch, words of affirmation, things like that. We like to take all kinds of tests. What's your sign? What makes us compatible? But there's also a level of compatibility within the office that you have to figure out, what are my values versus what are the values of this office? And how do I find out if this is a good fit for me? And the reality is you have to make a living, right? So, sometimes you can't really do much with, in terms of like just jumping from another job right away or whatever, if it's not like specifically your fit. But what you can do is save energy by not, thrusting yourself wholeheartedly into things that really don't matter for that office. That's something that I had to learn, because I was always willing to work hard, but sometimes I wasn't really specifically going for things that that office valued. And so I was putting in a lot of work, only found out at the end of the day that's not what they wanted or needed. I just thought this is what should happen. This is what we should be focusing on. I do a good job at this, so I should be rewarded for this, or whatever the case may be. And so I think, again, the great point from here was, what does your supervisor value? What do the people in your circle value? Like, what do people value? If you're looking at just the idea of either being taken for granted or feeling like you have to kiss up to somebody, they may not think of it as like kissing up and all of that. They may think of it as, well, this is what we need right now. So I like the idea of taking a step back and being observant. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today. We learned some great things from those questions that were left out of the last episode. As you can see, a lot of the stuff is really meaty. So we try to like parcel it out, because even Betty and I are often sitting going, oh my gosh, like we need to take notes. We need to like go back and watch our own episodes, which is kind of a funny thing that we laugh at each other all the time, because we're just like, I just watched the episode that we just filmed like 3 times just to get the information that was shared on it. So it's great stuff, and I'm really grateful to Coach Donecia for joining us and taking her time out to spend with us, because she's super busy as well. And so if you like it, please share it. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Tell somebody who doesn't know about the show. Like it, comment. Let us know if you have any questions for Coach Donecia, because we are gonna continue to do the Ask the Coach episodes. So please send your questions for us, or send topics that you'd like us to discuss in future episodes. I think we have one that we still have to tackle, someone who sent in a topic. So I'm excited to hear from you. We are on Instagram and follow book. That's interesting. Someone start follow book, please. On follow book. So we are on Instagram. Okay, hold on. Let's start. We are on the gram and on Facebook at Chat&Chew Show. And you, like I said, feel free to follow us. We're on YouTube as well. If you Google the Chat&Chew Show, you can find us on YouTube, and we're on all platforms that stream podcasts and etc. Thanks for joining me for this special episode, and I will see you next time. Take care.
This show was brought to you by the Chat&Chew Company. Music by Elwood Jones. Lyrics by Roxanne. Bring a Chat&Chew live event to your organization. Contact us at chatandchewshow@gmail.com.